cider and a switch thing. Ride the dawn on his motorbike. Looking for legends on the Sunset Strip with a stone cold paranormal partnership. Lamper Town Rick tried to sell me some crack. Listen to this podcast, man, and take that shit back. It's Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends. And here your host, Neil and Chris. You'll receive our pod in your ears tonight.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the internet's largest podcast about urban legends, myths, ghosts, UFOs, and that kind of thing by volume.
To the pound.
Yeah, don't get many of them to the pound, that's for sure. I am Chris Flynn, and with me is
Neil Herbert. Sorry, I was expecting a longer kind of like with me something Neil Herbert.
And together, as you can tell by this opening, Neil and I are colloquially known as the Pod Gods.
Oh, yes.
They are,
Slick and spry.
Slick and spry, godding all over the podding.
No, indeed.
So, how are you, Neil? I've not seen you for a couple of weeks because you've been off.
Been away. Been around
doing
Europe.
All kinds of nefarious things around the continent of Europe. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your trip?
Yep. So, where did I start? Brussels.
What, you didn't start in England?
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
Where did I go to? So,
How did you get to Brussels? Come on.
The Yarrow Star.
The Yarrow Star.
Yeah.
The train that goes out of Yarrow.
Train that goes out of Yarrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went under the sea,
Under the sea. Yeah.
like
Unbelievably.
Sebastian the Crab. Did you sing Under the Sea, like just on repeat all the way?
Just constantly, much to the irritation of everyone around me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We got the carriage to yourself.
Did a good Jamaican lilt like Sting.
Yeah, that was good,
Make
isn't
it a bit more edgy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you can get away with in Europe.
Indeed. Yeah.
So then what?
So onwards to Brussels.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up something I can't specify with the trade houses. A little bit of deal going on.
Yep, diamonds and urethra.
Think of it very much like those John Wick movies, but more violent and less realistic.
Okay, so less realistic.
Yeah.
Whoa. I can't really.
Yeah.
Was it like I'm just seeing a really violent claymation in my head?
Yeah,
like Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of stop motion animation.
Okay, good.
Happens more often than you think.
What, in real life?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Ray Harryhausen was a bit of a lad. That's what people don't know about, and that's how he learned his skills
on the streets of
on the streets,
clay
on
Brussels.
the mean streets of Brussels. Yeah,
clay Brussels. Right. So, what kind of stuff did you do in Brussels? Did you have a waffle?
I did eat a waffle. I drank a bit of
Did you have some frites?
Had some frites. Frites with everything. I got a bit bored of frites by the end of the trip, to be honest with you.
Well, of course, to our
it was a pleasure to have some mash for a change.
Pleasure to some boiled potatoes, finally. Of course, the reason why they're called French fries in America rather than Belgian fries, because they are from Belgium, is because Americans who were over during the Second World War were given them, and they went, "Oh, these are really nice." And then, but they thought
French.
They assumed they were French, but they were given them by French-speaking Belgians. So actually, Belgians lost out a lot on global marketing due to the GI's incompetence, I'd say.
And then we could have avoided all that unpleasantness about freedom fries and whatever during the
during the
Bush administration,
during the coalition of the willing.
Yeah, two countries, a coalition of the willing to follow an illegal document to wherever it may lead.
Hey, wait a minute!
Us and our American friends.
I think you find the
The initial phase was
I think you
everyone.
find Burundi.
Was there more than the UK? And the US?
There was. Yeah, they supported us. They weren't able to send anyone. Same as like Burma.
In essence, a bit like wild support was very much in the sort of just a, kind of like a moral stop, basically. But
yeah. So you had your fill of Belgian treats. Did you have any Belgian chocolates?
Not so many. I did mean to sort of buy some and bring them back, but then I couldn't.
For me?
I had too much luggage. Yeah, for you.
But you didn't bother.
I thought that.
Oh, fair enough.
Far too heavy.
Yeah, chocolates very heavy.
You can buy them all in the UK now, anyway, can't you? There's even a Leonidas in Brighton, so quite a big chain over there.
You gonna get me some from there? No,
probably not. No, it's a bit heavy.
Okay, a bit heavy. Yeah, okay. Bit expensive.
Yeah, that's quite pricey. Yeah, so, no, I didn't eat too many chocolates, to be honest.
Did you have judging by your diet of beer, waffles, and chips, did you have a quick gastric bypass while you were there?
It's touch and go. I'll tell you what.
Touch and go.
But the thing is, to be honest with you, because Brussels, then went to Cologne, and honestly, the food in Cologne is massive.
That's a weird way to describe a type of food. Massive.
No, I didn't. Well, the portions, I should say, in Cologne were huge.
What did their food taste like? Massive.
It's massive. Yeah, that's
all right. 90s,
yeah,
90s rave scene guy
there about the good old days and the
right human traffic.
No, we'll just put
big portion size.
Yeah, big portions. Even
are the people there quite fat?
No, not really.
Because they're
not going out eating in restaurants every night. Because bloody hell. Well, I'll tell you what. Because I had the first night I had meat soup. Thought don't mind if I do.
Meat soup,
which is effectively just a stew.
Just stew, yeah.
And then followed up with schnitzel, which is just like a massive. And I said, on the end of the menu,
was it pork schnitzel or the veal?
I think it was pork.
Yeah, that's better.
Pork schnitzel.
Can't have veal.
With some sort of mushroom sauce. Very nice. But then they sort of said, well, what you can do is you can swap out the frites with just like some pan-fried potatoes and all. That's nice to do that. And they just brought out both. It's like, fucking hell, I can't finish this. This is mental. I've just eaten the stew already on top. I'm, just having beer all over it. So yeah, it was it was pretty. And then even like Luxembourg was right next. That's kind of like, I don't know. I couldn't figure out what the sort of local cuisine was. There's a lot of French cuisine,
tax dodging, tax loopholes. There's something like spaghetti hoops, but they're tax.
Yeah, just stuff diamonds into quail's eggs and then just swallow those down.
Yeah, I imagine they just have plates full of Ottolan.
Oh, that'd be good. Or you could be like that awful Salt Bay fella and just have everything gold encrusted. Just like get some. What do they call it? Like gold leaf.
Yeah, gold leaf on all your food.
Gold leaf on your steaks because it's.
I've had Goldschlager.
Yeah, I think we've had a Goldschlager around in the pub back when you used to be able to. I don't know if you can still order it in pubs these days. I'm sure you can.
I've had plenty. I've had quite a few. It's just sambuca with bits of gold in it.
Well, this is the thing is because like gold leaf's A, not that expensive, and B, I mean it's just goes in and out, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it's inert.
Yeah, it's just gonna go.
Unlike that bathroom mercury gin that you made me drink.
Well, that's better because then those precious metals are getting absorbed into your system.
It killed my syphilis, but I don't have a nose.
Well,
either way, I was losing a nose.
You and Tycho Brahe. Some good company to be keeping.
So then, did you get so that was it? You went. Dropped off the diet. Like you went to Cologne, so that it wasn't a direct route because
that's a French connection. Yeah, the
police watch that.
Get them off the route and then stop Luxembourg and then an easy trip back through.
Yeah.
Through
so did you get your urethra reconstructed in Luxembourg, or did you wait till you got back? Or is that why you've got that trip to Turkey?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. And so Eurostar back and. What have you been doing the rest of the week? Because you've had 2 weeks off work. What have you been doing?
Yeah,
lumbering around.
Yeah, lumbering around.
Smashing stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, just thinking about things to do and then just not doing. Reading quite a bit,
You and your reading.
Yeah.
Come on, Grandad.
I won't get into it on the pod.
It's the 20th century.
I'm really doing some more on a Jack of the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. Found a new series, but I'll reveal that on a later date. That'll be something for the listeners to.
That's exciting! Yeah, amazing. You know,
probably the football transfer season as well, Chris. So.
Yeah, very nice. And so I should just a bit of admin. I'll let the listeners know we do now have a Twitter account. It hasn't got
getting in right at the right time.
yeah,
Right
getting right. Yeah, right at the death knells. I thought, well, everyone's leaving, so it'll give us a loud voice.
It'll just be us left. Us and a load of nutcases.
Yeah, but I'm not going to join. Like everyone's going, oh, I'm going to go and join Fred. It's like, yeah, but that's Meta. They're potentially even worse than fucking Musk. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, they will be. It'd just be, but it'd be, he's kind of like psychotic order, and I think Musk is like psychotic chaos or whatever.
Well, they're going to fight each other, aren't they? Apparently,
supposedly. I've seen he's calling him a cuck on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, because he spent time with his kids.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous thing to do.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
it's weird when Mark Zuckerberg is the one everyone's rooting for. That's a strange world.
Yeah.
It's like, as with the Tory party, it's kind of like it's amazing which depths you'll end up plumbing.
Yeah, it's weird.
You think you've got standards, and then you realise that actually they're far more elastic than you once hoped.
It's weird to be hoping Mark Zuckerberg wins in a fight.
Yeah, no, precisely. Yeah, because between them, I think I would be supporting.
Yeah,
I mean, supporting's doing a lot of heavy lifting there, but
I don't know.
Kind of nobody comes.
I hope that he loses less.
Yeah.
But I think as well. Like apparently Zuckerberg.
I'm not keen to watch it because it's just going to be.
I don't know. There's something about.
They're not going to hurt each other, are they?
I think so.
Although, yeah, maybe
because Zuckerberg's been fucking. Apparently, he's really muscly now. He's been doing loads of
trading up just because
he's been trading up.
Yeah,
like
make up for when he got bullied at high school or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like I now dominate the tech and financial world. I must now dominate the physical world,
the physical, mental, and spiritual realms. Yeah, he was really religious as well. Yeah,
he's bringing out his own religion after he wins the fight.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, you might as well. I mean, what was that? What was that fucking metaverse all about? You might as well turn it into a religion.
Well, this is the metaverse, though. That's the only, arguably, it's
you read Snow Crash and thought he'd do his own.
But it's the only idea that he's ever had on his own and really tried to push because
it's not an original idea, though.
No, but depending who you believe, like Facebook wasn't all. Well, I mean, it was majority other people who did that, and then he bought Instagram and then stole ideas off TikTok and stuff to put on Instagram, like Reels and all that kind of stuff. So this is like his one big idea, and it's like
just been a resounding failure.
So now he needs to go and fight to prove himself again.
Yeah. Or as Elon Musk is suggesting, have a literal dick measuring contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that he's
3.5 inches, mate. Try and beat that.
3.5
inches. Not that Kids in the Hall sketch, the smallest dicks in New York, and they haven't got a clue.
I've injected it full of monkey steroids, and I've used a pump 3.5 inches.
I mean, whatever. But it's just.
But it's so weird. How are these two people so like the rich people? Like they're literally pathetic.
Well, when you get to that point where you just nobody, nobody's saying no anymore, and then it just becomes really dangerous.
I mean, and like being that sort of weird and petty, like it's really odd. Like literally say in front of the world asking someone to measure their penis with you.
Well, I know it's pathetic, but I do wonder, like with absolute power and all that. It's because it's this old story, isn't it? Where the generals in the Roman army, they used to have somebody when they were doing the tribunes. They used to have somebody whisper in their ear, "Remember your mortal," or whatever.
Yeah, they used to come through the city on their parades, they would always have someone stood behind them on a chariot, going, "You're shit. You're wanker. You've got a rubbish haircut. Who did your haircut? Your mum. Yeah, get your dick out. Come on.
Yeah. I see it. Come on.
I'll fight you. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the road. Fight, yeah, probably could have learned
something.
That's how
it worked. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that was exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shut up, soy boy.
That's most of what the Parthenon marbles are depicting. Some general being called a cuck by some edgelords.
But an edgelord was, of course, a very important part of.
That was a very important role, yeah.
The whole Roman Republic, which I feel that modern republics I mean, when you look at the people who are in charge of republics these days,
Yeah.
probably they're missing that little piece of the jigsaw to get them running smoothly.
Yeah.
So
Telling them.
so yes. So anyway,
Moving swiftly on.
it is. So the only one I could get is Legends Urbane. So we're at Legends Urbane. So that's our Twitter handle. There's nothing on it yet. I've only just done it, but I'll start putting out stuff. The episodes, links to the episodes when they come out, and if we talk about stuff and there's pictures and that, then I'll stick them on there as well. From now on, I promise.
We might throw out some hideously divisive stuff on there. Try and get into the
Try and fracture society a bit more as well.
For some short-term gain.
Yep, lovely.
That's what the game is, isn't it?
So Neil, is the character that you're going to talk about today someone who tried to fracture society for short-term game and offered people penis measuring contests?
No, we've got the antidote to all of that kind of thing. This is what seems on the face of it like a pretty good egg. So let's dive into that. I mean, I don't know because I had my moral boundaries tested when we had the Tale of Two Gimps last week. So you may your mileage may vary, Chris. You may end up but no, I think this can be a person who we can all unite behind. Actually.
Yep. Okay. We do need a hero.
We do need a hero, and I think this is the hero for our times. I think it's the hero we deserve. This is the twisted true story of the glowing green man, Charlie No Face.
Charlie No Face.
Charlie Gnome Face.
Gnome Face or No Face?
No face, as in he has no face.
Okay. Well, instantly I'm thinking that's a perfect antidote to stuff like vacuous stuff like Instagram, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Although who knows if he'd been on TikTok.
Oh, have you done your contouring? No, I haven't got a face.
Yeah.
That kind of...
Exactly. So the man may have nearly burned alive. I should point out, actually, sorry, we'll just quickly we'll go to this. Oh, so proud, Chris. So
this is really good. Pop gods.
Thrillist. This is the article coming from today. So by Will Fulton. So we'll be largely taking from that. Thanks for the free material, Will. Good lad.
Yep. Neil just did a thumbs up at the camera while
that's something that the
looking off into the distance.
You'll be tweeting that out to our listeners in real time, Chris. That was my assumption.
Yes, I have done. Yeah,
2017. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, all done.
Lots of reaction shots, all in.
It's got
super insufferable.
It's got over 1,400 impressions already.
Oh, brilliant! Are they all just throwing up emojis?
I just put something about not buying Budweiser, and I got given a blue tick. I don't know what that's about.
I mean, I'm not keen on Budweiser, but I do. Yeah, don't know why that would. Yeah. Let's not. The man may have nearly burned alive. His face melted like candle wax. He might have been struck by lightning as a boy. His skin could have turned into a radioactive green from a horrible accident that.
Here we go. Words.
Yeah.
You've just been in Germany. How difficult are you going to find English?
No. Duquesne, I'm going to say that is Duquesne power.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't think I'm pronouncing that at all correctly. But anyway, from a power plant, Smuggling said he was a spectre doomed to stalk desolate western Pennsylvania highways for all eternity. I have to look that up later and it's going to annoy me. The details change depending on who was telling it, but everyone growing up in the Pittsburgh area...
Pittsburgh!
Is that a Pittsburgh accent? I have no idea.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Heard a story about Charlie No Face eventually. The Green Man, the Monster of Beaver County.
Ooh.
He's got a lot of good names. Monster of Beaver County, I think, is his...
The
Green Man?
No, the Monster of Beaver County, the one who writes all that erotic literature.
They're all the same.
Like Alan Titchmarsh.
Yeah. Does he write holy novels?
Yes.
I think I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah. So for our non-UK listeners...
just explaining Alan Titchmarsh.
So Alan Titchmarsh
UK TV
is a C-list sort of TV presenter who is a gardener / TV presenter. That's what he's famous for, and he has a face a bit like a gnome, I'd say, but without the beard.
Like a garden gnome. He's a sort of,
but without the beard.
Jolly little chap.
Got slightly sort of buggy eyes. One one at home, the other one down the shops. And it turns out that under a noon diplôme, he was writing some fairly well-selling erotic literature in his spare time. And if you see the guy and you put erotic together, then you can have all kinds of night terrors.
Nice. Well, hey, let's not go casting aspersions, Chris. It's it's a broad world. Everyone's got to have their taste.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't need to be shared.
Yeah, fair enough. It's one of the vagaries of British TV that if you're, you could be, gardening or an expert in antiques or stuff like this and become kind of like, nationwide famous.
Yeah, if you have an expertise and also you could say things on like to a camera fairly well, then
unlike us, you weren't pausing every 3 seconds and then. But
I don't like being. Don't put us both together for that, Neil.
All right, well, fair enough. Then I'll call you up the next time you sort of.
Never happens. You'll be waiting. You'll be waiting a long time, Neil, before you'll see me make a mistake on this podcast.
Well, I think it's UK cartoonist, US cartoonist Chris Honors has said. Is the funny thing about the UK TV is how many of the presenters look like geography teachers.
Yes,
not an unfair assessment, I would say. Well, it's not a bad thing. Hey, I like the fact that we have people looking quite normal. Then,
Yeah. Normal people on telly rather than sort of people who look like models who are then taught something.
Yeah. Different strokes, different folks. Anyway, so the details change depending on who was telling it, but everyone growing up in Pittsburgh has already read that bit. Yeah, it's going well. So 300 miles away in New Jersey.
Are you still on holiday?
I'm mentally. I'm having a lovely point of delirium tremens somewhere, and then thinking about what I'm going to eat this evening.
I suppose the good thing is this blows the cobwebs out for you to go back to work tomorrow.
yeah. We'll see how successful that is in my police job. 300 miles away in New Jersey. I'm going to try and be more select now. I'm going to try and get on that.
Right, come on.
Let's do it. Let's bring the noise.
That's good energy. Come on.
300 miles away in New Jersey, I learned about the legend from my dad, who'd grown up in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, not far from the tunnel Charlie No Face supposedly haunted. Oof. I'd assumed it was another dad yard. Not unlike his tales of being a top secret Green Beret. He wasn't.
Fucking dads.
Winning Olympic gold in weightlifting. He didn't. But then I got a computer and promptly found some pictures. My dad was a weightlifting Green Beret. No, it didn't say that. But Charlie No Face was a real thing. Dad, I'm sorry I doubted you. My dad even claimed to have met Charlie No Face when he was 13. And today he still says it was the most terrifying moment of his life.
Oh, dear.
Picture the subject of one of the most notorious urban legends of your generation sitting beside you in the back seat of a station wagon, casually sipping a domestic light beer through a bendy straw.
Well, how can you do that with no face?
Well, we'll find out. But he was more than just an urban legend. He was a man, and his name was Ray.
Ray.
So it's going to be one of those good ones where it's an urban legend's grown around a community, but actually it's based on fact.
On a disabled person.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into sort of some of the kind of let's say some people could be nice and some people could be cruel around this person, but I think he's
like the Elephant Man.
Indeed, yeah, not a bad parallel.
John Merrick.
Actually. Yeah, John Merrick.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was, of course, a spy as well, wasn't he? In the First World War.
Well, John Merrick?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take your word for that.
No, I'll fill you in off air.
Fair enough. I mean, he would have stood out fairly anyway.
Yeah, but it's double bluff, isn't it?
Yeah. Couldn't possibly be.
They would never send such a man like this.
So the story is true.
Can I see the codes? Yes, of course, dear boy. Yes, sorry. Yes, of course, dear boy. Here are the codes. There's nothing you could possibly do to hurt us. Is that how everyone spoke in Cologne?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were all called Klaus, and they all spoke like that. Yeah.
Not Henning.
Yeah, or Klaus or Henning.
Yeah, even the women.
Or Gunther, even the women, yeah.
Really?
Actually didn't catch anyone's name, I don't think, but...
really embedded yourself in the culture.
Apart from they go to the Italian restaurant, and I don't know, I can't remember whether they were actually Italian or German. They didn't. Anyway, right. This story is true. In early August 1919, 8-year-old Ray Robinson was walking with his sister and a few friends in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, when they noticed a bird's nest perched atop a tree next to an abandoned trolley trestle. Wanting to get a closer look, Ray climbed up, but he accidentally touched a wire that once powered the trolley. Almost a year earlier, another boy who touched the same wire died after 2 painful weeks, yet the power line was still active when Ray reached for it. And this is why investing in health and safety is a good idea, everyone.
This is why you shouldn't put large-scale public infrastructure projects in the hands of the private sector.
Or at least, stick a fence around them, I suppose you would do.
Yeah, or at least turn it off once it's stopped being used, if it's disused.
Once one boy's died, fair enough, one dead kid, everyone's,
Well, whatever.
It's, ROI on trying to prevent that, they're always up and down trees, what are you going to do? Once you got the one miniature corpse, though, maybe you have to think about turning it off. Trying to get around to that.
Look,
if for no other reason, you're just wasting electricity. Do you know what I mean?
All our bills have gone up this month.
Yeah.
All those kids cooking on there.
Blimey. It's quite literally murder.
We're gonna have to all that like cooked kid meat on the wires. We're gonna have to replace those soon. Yeah, but it's disused. I know, but we can't be bothered rewiring the circuit, so we're just gonna have to redo it. So
he was severely electrocuted. His nose, lips, ears, and eyes were all gone or misshapen. His arms were maimed, and one of his hands was blown clean off. His suffering was unimaginable. But somehow he survived. Doctors marvelled. He didn't have much of a life after that, at least for a while. So if you look at old Victorian homes, so many of them have isolated rooms with drains and plumbing and everything you need to live right there. So there's Tisha York, a documentarian who spent 3 years researching Robinson for an unreleased film about the Green Man.
It's great when you find, like, if you've rented as much as me, sometimes you'll get like a bedroom with a superfluous sink in the corner.
That was where you kept Timmy.
It's useful for, if you can't be bothered going all the way to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I guess. Yeah. Use it or lose it.
Remember that from student accommodation. Yeah. That's well, I remember as well, that one place you stayed in that had there was like a little, I would say a peephole into the bathroom, but there was there was like a little door you could open, wasn't there, and just catch people out.
Yeah, peephole into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's behind a mirror.
Yeah. Now I think about it, it was quite Norman Bates. Maybe
that was a tiny flat, that was wasn't it? But it was quite nice.
Yeah, you could pass someone their dinner through the toilet.
Yeah, it was like, what do they call those? Like a serving hatch.
Yeah.
So someone could hand you your roast dinner while you're on the toilet.
I would imagine it wasn't originally a bathroom.
Don't bother getting up.
Yeah. Don't worry, Alf. I know your pal's a murder.
We had some crazy nights in that flat now.
Indeed.
Won't talk about it now for liability purposes.
Not on air, no. Not with my real name behind it. Right. Back then, this is where families kept children like Ray. Things were different, and they kept people who were different hidden from the world. So he wasn't mistreated, but he did get isolated and ostracised, even by his own family, who would eat separately from him. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine it's sort of difficult all around, in fairness.
Yeah, I guess the thing is as well, because, at that time, people always were getting the vapours, and they seemed like to have quite highly strung constitutions. So maybe they found it difficult to eat round him because of his physog.
Yeah, or might have needed sort of help, especially when he was a child with eating. So might have needed to separately. Who knows? But
I kind of think these days, as a parent, you'd probably be the one doing that. But
oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I think they probably were in those days as well. I doubt they could afford somebody, to come around and do it for them.
Well, why was he eating separately then?
No, I'm just saying they probably had their dinner and then kind of like fed him separately because he might have needed more. I don't know. I'm speculating. Yeah. Funnel and a liquidizer. I don't know. I really don't know.
That'd be it.
So anyway, he tried to make the best.
Had some of that lovely meat soup you had now.
We could have done, yeah.
Ooh. Did
So I
have a
don't know if
little bit of pepper on there, a bit of pepper in with the soup, give it a little spice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, it's heavy.
Was it?
Nice though.
And instead of using gravy, they used stout.
Yeah, it wasn't quite a stew, but it was. It was pretty long. There was a fair old bit of beef in there, peppers. Anyway, you could do that for a main course.
It probably was a main course.
Yeah, probably just
Read the menu
honestly,
wrong.
it was put down as a starter. I should have gone for the tomato soup probably, but there you go. Someone tells me there's a thing called meat soup. I'm not trying meat soup.
Yeah. What kind of meat? Yes, meat. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's my favourite type of meat is when you don't tell me what kind of meat it is.
Yeah.
He tried to make.
I come from the land of ginsters.
Yeah. Believe you me.
The islands.
Don't ask, don't tell. I
come from the island of mystery meat. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
It's Cornish, allegedly. It's never been anywhere near Cornwall, but don't worry about that.
Don't you worry.
Don't you worry about that. So he tried to make the best of it. An avid baseball fan, he listened to every game he could pick up on his radio. He learned to read Braille and how to make wallets and doormats out of old tyres. I think that was kind of how they made a bit of money for them. Yes, pretty impressive. Yeah. But, fair. I think what's going to come out of this is like actually how resilient this chap is.
I mean, it's so far so amazing.
Yeah. So when he became a man, his family fashioned a small apartment for him.
Wallets out of old tyres.
Yeah. That's some
heavy duty wallets.
Yeah. That's some grapes of wrath shit, isn't it? Don't worry, Marjo, we can make wallets out of tyres.
Fucking hell.
Come to that. Rosa Sean, get the tyres out. We're going to make ourselves some belts and wallets.
Does it turn out that he invents the Adidas Predator football boot?
I'd be good in it.
If he turns out and he's
trainers or something like that.
He's a millionaire.
Sadly, it doesn't go quite that far. But actually, it almost makes it better. They just he lives a long and kind of like we'll get onto that. But
a long and difficult life. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, already. So he managed to dodge notoriety until he began craving a respite from the prison that his life had become. He started walking the local highways, but it was always alone and always at night, and that's how he became a legend.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so you can pretty much see where this is going. So Elwood City, Pennsylvania, isn't exactly known for its nightlife. When Maya Ranchard was in high school in the mid-2000s, she spent more than a few boring Saturday evenings in her boyfriend's Emerald minivan, looking for Charlie No-Face alongside a Route 351.
If the Emerald minivan's rocking, it's probably something to do with the gasket.
Yeah. And in front of Piney Fork Tunnel, so presumably that will mean something to our Pennsylvania friends, or at least those near Elwood City. So it's known locally as the Green Man Tunnel. And that's not too different from teens like me back in New Jersey, half-heartedly shining their flashlights in the Pine Barrens to flash out the Jersey Devil. You expect some cheap thrills on the back of folklore and not much else. So Jersey Devil, that's another...
Series 1.
Series 1 was that. Wow, all the way back to Series 1. There you go.
Yeah, one of my favourites.
Yes, check that one out if you want to know the story behind the Jersey Devil.
But the Pine Barrens, they've got lots of good ghosts.
There's a whole gang out there, isn't there?
Whole gang out there. They're all really nice. They're all like pretty.
They're all good eggs.
They're all pretty, benevolent. And turns out Benjamin Franklin was a cunt.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear about that,
that's how we've drawn that conclusion. Then listen to that podcast. Everyone grew up hearing about the Green Man, Roger told me, but it's one of those things where you don't really think you're going to see anything. It's a ghost story, something your parents talk about around a fire pit. But we still did it, and it was still scary, even though we knew it wasn't real. People have been looking for the Green Man for almost 100 years. If you had the guts, you went out and tried to find him.
Yeah. Do you have the guts, Neil?
Well, I don't know. I'll give it a go.
We should go somewhere that's meant to be haunted and film it and put it on our YouTube.
One of those,
Yeah. We've got a YouTube as well, but it's just got the pods on at the moment. But we're going to do some filming and stuff, and I'll let you know more as and when it is relevant information for you.
Yes. So on the night in the late 1960s that my dad met Ray inside that station wagon, he'd been night swimming at the local pool with some friends who were curious about the legend.
Night swimming. Wink, wink.
Hey.
Yeah, breaststroke. Backflip.
Isn't it?
Isn't
I'll
it?
let you get these out your system.
Yeah, holding your breath.
Yeah.
Flippers. Eyes are stinging. Bells are ringing.
Fair
We're
enough.
all singing for our night swimming. That's the little nursery rhyme we were always taught when we went down the local council swimming pool.
A bit of culture for you there, listeners. So the father was unsure who or what Ray was, but he'd certainly heard the stories everyone had. He developed a reputation for walking around Route 351 and neighbouring roads in Beaver County at night, said York, who also grew up in Elwood City. Obviously, the way he looked garnered some attention, rumours spread, and people actually started to seek him out. And for many, he embraced that. He loved to smoke and he loved to drink beer.
Yeah.
Good man. So these late night encounters became one of his main connections to the outside world. Although for Ray, that wasn't...
I've only got one all left, and that's going to be for fags and booze.
Yep. Thanks now.
Listen to the baseball.
Well, why not?
Meat stew.
Although for Ray, that wasn't always a good thing, unfortunately. So not everyone who tracked down Ray on those backcountry roads was content to share a beer with him, take a picture and move on. As anyone who's gone through life being different knows, and as Ray certainly knew, the world can be a cruel place.
Yeah,
this is bad, actually. People would beat him up, urinate into beer bottles and give it to him so he never drank an open drink. Sometimes people would pick him up, drive him to the middle of nowhere and toss him out the car. People were so cruel to him, never understood why. And I think this is a problem as well with kind of like...
I'm thinking like Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah, I think like teenagers who really got some fucking growing up to do, especially teenage boys probably, just got a license and then think they're showing off and impressing their mates, probably, regret it later
Yeah, it's
on.
weird because stuff like that isn't really very impressive.
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, we've all done stupid shit when we were a kid, but you'd hope you wouldn't like get someone to drink your urine. I think that's
not really.
A bit far.
Yeah,
not
really
to that extent, really. But yeah, no, I'm not that cruel. But there you go. So when a car would approach him as he walked,
I jumped into coming home from a night out. I climbed on the railings of a park because the park was locked, and then jumped into a bush to make everyone laugh. That's probably as stupid as I get.
Yeah, it was probably more dumb shit when we were kids. So
like jackasses.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of rather than sort of like trying to do something,
it's more about hurting ourselves than other people, really.
Yeah. Certainly not kind of like, strangers or somebody who's kind of like, somebody's always in a bad way.
Disabled, yeah.
But there you go. Unfortunately, some people seem to, you hope get it out of their system. But
you wonder what their home life was like, Neil, don't you?
Yes. So
if they needed to feel they empowered themselves in that way, they obviously felt powerless in other ways.
Yeah, it's very true.
And now they're fighting Mark Zuckerberg in the cage. So,
I was wondering where that was going. So
was I.
So when a car would approach him as he walked, he would stop and wait nervously for what came next. The sound of tires and engines made him skittish. There was a rumour that he had a pistol in his belt after one particularly nasty encounter.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... I can't imagine his aim's good, but...
Yeah.
But it's random enough that it would probably put you off, wouldn't it?
So my dad and his friends gunned it for Wallace Run Road, packing Green Man bait, a case of beer, a straw and some cigarettes. When they eventually found Ray, they pulled the station wagon up next to him as he walked. The driver, who said he'd met Ray once, hopped out, as did my dad and the others in the car, watched through the fog. When Ray climbed into the car, my dad screamed. Can you blame him? Ray's blank face glowing off the dashboard light was like nothing he'd ever seen before. The Green Man in the flesh, just a pencil's length away. According to York, the Green Man moniker came not from the rumours about him working at the power plant. So there's all these things around how he glowed in the dark.
Yeah.
But they thought the person who's making the documentary thought it might be something more gruesome. So because his nose was an open wound his whole life,
oh right,
it could get infected.
Sepsis.
So he'd end up with just getting sort of like infections and things.
Well, and it's still going to produce mucus and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty horrible.
So that's
poor lads.
Yeah, no, again, not had a particularly not been dealt a particularly good set of cards by the very least. So what? Yeah, and then why it's called Charlie No Face instead of Ray No Face remains a mystery. Yeah, the Charlie No Face thing didn't make sense, but anyway, whatever. Obviously, people didn't really know who he was. So after the palpitations ceased, my dad realised he had nothing to fear. It was like meeting the boogeyman and discovering he's just a misunderstood guy who likes beer, shooting the shit in the Pittsburgh Pirates, who I assume are a local baseball team. People need to understand this was a human being, a real person, and somebody who endured one of the most tragic lives I've ever encountered, said York. Underneath it all was this beautiful, kind man. So recently, I pulled up photos of Ray online and showed them to my dad. He didn't say anything for a while. He just looked and remembered. The only thing that he could say was sorry he was ever scared of the man in the first place. So York says, I interviewed hundreds of people about Ray all over Western Pennsylvania. They were mostly young men like your father who would go out with Ray or pick him up and drive him around. And I wouldn't even be able to count how many of these grown men broke down in tears talking about him. Some of them regretted the way they treated him, understandably, but so many people just cried remembering what Ray had meant to them and what he did for them, or just reflecting on his life and how sad and bittersweet it actually was. So there's a photo of him posing with a woman, maybe the only one that he'd ever sort of touched. You could tell he was happy and that she wasn't scared.
That's speculation.
Yeah, I was going to... Yeah, I mean...
Your Honour, speculation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're saying maybe, but yeah.
You don't know. He might have touched loads. It might have been some freaky ladies around there.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Indeed. So you could tell... Anyway, so there's a young man who lost his brother in Vietnam who credits Ray's companionship and unending empathy as a major force of positivity during his grieving period. He taught countless people who would spend long nights sitting in a car on a porch.
So could he speak?
Yeah, I think he could.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing is basically he was because it sounds like a lot of them had sort of quite in-depth conversations with him. So I think he had hideous kind of like facial scarring from his accident. But
nose was blown off, and his eyes were closed.
Yeah. I mean, basically he had his eyes, his nose, everything was sort of blown off, and so he literally had kind of like a sort of this. But he still had
he could still speak and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Speech organs and all the rest of it were all still fine. So yeah,
okay.
Is what I'm understanding.
It makes you wonder, why the straw? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, not entirely sure. And maybe there's still some sensitivity, or I don't know. Well, actually, the other thing I suppose is because he's blind.
Yeah, so it just makes it easier.
I guess I don't know. Actually, no, I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know.
Don't know. Maybe it's just because
it's a good question. Don't know.
Maybe because of the urban legend rumor, which we all had. I don't know if this is wide and broad, but if you drink alcoholic drinks through a straw, it gets you drunker. Yeah,
which I don't believe is true at all.
No, but that's what I always was told when I was a teenager.
Yeah, my dad still goes on about that sometimes. Yeah, it's like, no, it's no difference. It's the alcohol content. It's the alcohol content. You might drink it a bit quicker.
I
don't know. Anyway. But anyway, so he showed so many people that it was okay to be different. He actually changed lives. Through it all, Ray was never angry. He was never upset. He never asked why me. He kept being positive, being genuine, and being the kind of person and friend we all wish we could be, York said. Everyone will remember the legends, but he meant so much more to so many people, and it really made him happy.
I mean, it's like that's like an amazingly strong person. To have all that and still kind of try and see the good in people, even when people have sort of beaten you up or whatever and stuff like that, and still carry on being a good person. But it's an amazing strength of character that he had, an amazing personality.
Oh, well, 100%. I think that's the thing for me, is because I think obviously he sought out connections, and so he felt he needed, like, just getting out of the house was the one thing, and then when people sort of talk to him, and I guess just putting up with the kind of like, I guess he had to sort of put up with some of the cruel stuff because
risk and reward,
and hopefully it was a lot more of nicer people than people doing horrible things, but who knows. But I think what's really remarkable to me is the lack of bitterness. Everyone seems to have, because I doubt, pretty certain I would not. Well, no, I know I would not be. I'd be feeling sorry for myself for sure.
But I mean, like, maybe he did when he was a kid and stuff. But he realised that if he wanted to make something more of his life, then he had to let that go. But you don't. But yeah, I'm speculating.
Saying that though and doing it is another thing, and I think fair play. But yeah, so I think the article sort of rounds up now. So that's the thing about urban legends. Most of them are grounded in some truth, more often than not in tragedy. Ray Robinson had a face that was unforgettable. He had a reputation that kept children up at night and continues to do so. They still talk about him in Beaver County. They talk about him all over the world. Nobody can keep him hidden anymore. He died in 1981 in a nursing home, and he's buried in Beaver County, just a few feet away from the little boy who was electrocuted 1 year before him. Occasionally, you will still see fresh flowers placed on his grave. He was a gleaming example of someone being given the worst and making the best of it. He was more than just an urban legend. He was a man, and his name was Ray. Good article, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they're still putting fresh flowers on his grave.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he touched quite a lot of lives as well through his actions. And just through who he was, and that's a really amazing thing to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I wasn't expecting this to be a kind of like, quite as touching.
A nice one for once.
Yeah, but for once it's actually, and given all the things that are going on. So yeah, what a remarkable story of someone's sort of perseverance and sort of lack of bitterness, given all the things that they had to sort of deal with. So I thought that was one. They've been sitting on this one for a while because you're not quite sure how to approach it. But I think really, it's only so many jokes you can make. But I think it's quite a nice story. And want to
nice to have a positive one
share with the listeners. And yeah, it's nice to see somebody positive. And yeah, also people kind of like actually have their lives touched by meeting him.
Yeah, and I guess that perhaps had their sort of inbuilt, I'm going to say bigotry, but it's probably not the right word, but challenged by meeting someone, and then presumably the knock on with that is they were less judgmental with other people in future, and kind of the kind of spider's web of how one person's sort of kindness and strength of sort of character and openness and kindness has probably got knocked onto a whole community and their children and so on, throughout, without making too big a thing, but you know what I mean? That's how it can work.
No, absolutely. Just shows someone who can just be, just actually, persevering can actually sort of have a really positive effect. And as you say, people can realise that, just because they look a bit different, they just actually, you still remind yourself that they're a human being.
Could use a bit more of that these days, Neil.
Well, indeed, absolutely. In these times, it's a good thing to remind ourselves of.
But the other thing to remind ourselves of is life isn't the internet.
Yes, this is very true.
You can just turn it off and go and speak to someone in the local shop, and they tend to be a decent person.
Absolutely. Rather than just making assumptions or worrying about what. Yeah.
But I mean, like the majority of people you'll meet in the world will be all right. Like, it's just that the idiots are their voices kind of multiplied by the
vessels making the most noise. Yeah, absolutely.
By sort of social media and stuff. But that isn't what the world is.
Almost like creating an echo chamber is what's profitable. Than what's good.
Yep, and just to remind everyone, that is Legend Urbane on Twitter. Where we
can do hypocrisy with the best of them.
Where we will be courting the right-wing pound.
Lap dance, do you say?
Would you like a lap dance? Oh, naughty right-wing boys. And then this one comes out under the tagline like, look at this monster in No Face Monster. Hear our podcast. Right, so should we go through our scoring system?
Yeah, I was just having a quick look on Wiki to see if there was anything else.
So
there is that documentary. It's been delayed since the recession in 2008, and it's still on hold as of 2023. So whether Tisha York will ever finish her film, it's looking increasingly unlikely, I would suggest. But hope she does get to do it one day, because I think that's a good story. But,
is there any link between him and the character No Face on Dick Tracy?
Entirely possible, but I don't think so.
Okay.
And we'll just have a look on the Daily Star. Also, kind of like did a version of this. This is one of the UK's worst tabloids. That's saying something.
Monstrous pervert wonders.
in the comments, Alfie23 is just your average looking Rangers fan.
Hey.
So there's a bit of wit from Alfie23. I just thought I'd share.
Yeah, Celtic fan, presumably. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful sectarian stuff.
Yeah. Let's just get a bit of, after an inspiring story about that, let's just end it off with a bit of sectarian nonsense. Super dupes. But yeah, as you say, let's go on to scoring.
So, spookiness now.
Yeah, so low score for me here, because it's kind of like, so obviously people, there's the kind of inherent thing that they've sort of built up about, you know, a faceless man running around on the highways and stuff like that. But actually, then if you actually got to meet him or read up on the story at all, you'd find out it was just like, just somebody been in a tragic accident. So yeah, not very spooky to me. So I'm going to give it a 2.
2. So,
unless you're talking about the spookiness of having to live with this, but I think it's the urban legend itself.
Yeah. So it's a difficult one, this, because as a fully formed, well, I say that, as a constantly working on myself adult, I don't like, it wouldn't be spooky to me. But I remember when I was 8 or 7 or 8, my gran was in hospice with cancer. They couldn't cure it. And but round the hospice, there was a guy who had no nose at all, like just a hole there.
Yeah.
And I didn't show it or anything because I realised that would be a horrible thing to do. But he did scare me because, you know, but as a kid, it was scary. I hadn't seen anything like that.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that if you didn't know the story and you hadn't met him and that kind of stuff, then it could be quite spooky, especially kind of walking down sort of country lanes or whatever, if that's what was happening. So, so I think it's one of those where it could be spooky. Obviously, we know more of the story now, and it, you know, so it isn't to us. But I think that if you saw someone walking around with that disfigurement,
you might have a visceral reaction.
Your car lights just hit him, then maybe you could. So I'm going to give it a 5 for spookiness, because also he's real. It's not like, do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh,
it's not like you imagine something. It is actually,
believability. No,
I mean, this is easy, isn't it? It's a 10.
Yeah.
We've had a few of these recently, but there you go. It's nice to blend in some real ones. But it all really happened. It's all verifiable. And there's a documentary that's supposedly on the way. But it's all completely verifiable. There's no reason to doubt any of this. 10.
Yep, 10 from me too. Narrative premise. So, I mean, it's someone's life, isn't it? So I guess, but the thing is, it's a lovely narrative because it's a real life thing, and his story's pretty fucking inspiring, to be honest. Like it's, like it's an inspiring story, and it sounds like he touched a lot of people, and while it's not super exciting or anything, but like it's nice. So I'm going to give it an 8. Neil.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's one of these things where it would need someone with talent to bring out the right kind of thing, but it's something like a John Steinbeck or something.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, or it's written by starring Steven Seagal. He'd be able to juice this little great. Yeah, don't worry.
Someone gives him the thing of piss, and then he drops it and does like loads of really slow martial arts on them.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, high school bully. It's going to be 2 people with no face around here. Keep that up. While he does Aikido whilst remaining seated at all times. And the camera just edits around him.
Eating a chop.
Yeah. Just the sided ribs. I get a fag on at the same time. Yeah,
are you taking the piss? Glasses the guy in the face.
Yeah. And you see a different hand come out. Cuts his chops and that.
Like a really young African American man's hand punches him with a really muscly arm.
Latter-day Stevenson movies are even worse than the original ones they did. They're a treat, though. You see those badly. I think my favourite one of those, there was one of the reviewers in the AV Club. They talked about a love scene he had in one of these films, and they said it was like a drawbridge being lowered over that's an image that stuck with me for some time. Anyway, sorry, I've forgotten what we're on now. No, it's narrative promise of not. Yeah, no, I think somebody with the requisite skill. I think it would be quite a good, inspiring story. I mean, obviously it's not. So yeah, you've got something, and initially people think it's this urban legend, but actually it's I think it'd be a nice little. Hey, Netflix, instead of doing stuff about serial killers and other wankers like that, let's have a one about Raymond. And
I mean, you wouldn't watch it though, would you? we all like the dark side of things now.
Yeah, it's more. Well, I suppose that is the question, isn't it? It's kind of like, because I just think that the sheer kind of it's little details as well. I don't really get into it, but I think if you dug into it more, like having to make fucking wallets out of tires and shit.
Yeah.
I imagine it was hard times back then anyway.
And I Depression era, wouldn't it?
So I think it could be quite inspiring, and it's kind of like maybe it's a little reminder we could all do with hey, we all.
If you were to take
rightly, there's a lot of problems at the moment, but
if you were to take creative license, you'd make him he turns out to be the greatest blues guitarist of all time or something with it.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing you could do, is you could just really go over the top and then just.
Although he's only got one hand, so I don't know how that works. Bass player, let's say stand-up bass.
Sort of work for Django Reinhardt. Just slide guitar with his thumb.
Yeah, slide guitar, perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're going to give me a number?
Yeah, I'm going to give.
Or have you changed the section without telling me?
I'll give it a 7. Well, maybe okay. We play it fast and loose around here, as you know, Chris.
We do. So Reach, Neil.
Did you give your narrative? Oh yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Narrative? Okay. Reach. It's probably middling on here for me. I think it's one of those ones that'll. It seems. I've kind of. Had I heard of it? I think because I've been sitting on this one for a while, I probably hadn't heard of it out in the wild. But probably one that I came across a few times while looking at research, was unsure how to sort of approach the topic. But there's quite a bit out there about him. There's quite a few different articles. I mean, I don't think it's that broadly known though, but I think it's one that deserves to be better known. But that's probably not what the score is about. So yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 10 because it's probably not massively known, but I think it's quite a nice, inspiring little story. So I'd like to see it. Yeah.
So I'd heard of it, but I didn't know the ins and outs because I'd purposely not gotten into it. So yeah, it's for an urban legend, it's not going to be better known because actually there's a story behind it, and it was actually just a bloke, and it's a nice story and all of that. Like the tale itself sort of stops itself. Do you know what I mean?
Perhaps not what you're looking for in an urban legend.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it sounds like it's fairly well known in that kind of area of the country. I mean, I'd heard of it, so I'll go with a 4 as well, Neil, which gives us a lovely score of 50.
Marvelous.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. And hey, a nice little tale.
Nice little tale. And if you want to drop us a line with anything, that's herb.legends.podcast@gmail.com or Twitter @legendsurbane. And that's that really. So yeah, that was quite a nice one there, Neil. That holiday's done you good. You've come back with a cheerful story.
Don't worry, it'll go downhill next week.
Lovely. Yeah, one week back in this bin fire.
It's oral cesspit.
But thanks everyone for listening. I hope you have a nice week coming up, and don't let the bastards get you down. And we will see you next Thursday. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Yes.